We are seeing the biggest change in payments in the last 30 years take place right in front of our eyes: stablecoins and digital assets. When the U.S. Treasury Secretary says out loud that this market will grow into the trillions of dollars in the next 3 years, you know that the movement isn't just guesswork. It's going to be where the money is going. And it's very clear what the U.S. government is focusing on right now: getting stablecoin law finalized and giving digital assets the regulatory clarity they've needed for over a decade. The Genius Act and the Clarity Act have already been moved forward, which means one thing: right now, the frames for the next banking system are being put in place. As a whole, Ripple is the one company that comes out as a major player in this change, both in the U.S. and around the world. Because of its technology, relationships, and focus on stable coins, Ripple is one of the most important companies in this change. Financial institutions around the world are learning that the best way to get into this space quickly and not fall behind is to work with Ripple and let them set up the infrastructure. Banks, payment service companies, and even neobanks are realizing that this is no longer a test. Ripple is at the center of this new way of making money. This is not advice about money. In May, someone brought up how big this change could be in a chat. How strong would the dollar be if the U.S. made a lot of steady coins? That was the question that was asked. It was easy to see the truth. It could make people want to buy U.S. bonds worth trillions of dollars. Take a moment to think about that. Just for now, the number is around 300 billion, but in the short run, stable coins could make it up to 2 trillion. It's not a rounding mistake. That's a huge financial shakeup. To give you an idea, China, the UK, and Japan are the 3 countries that buy the most US debt right now. These days, though, they're buying less quick. That's one reason why US bond prices have risen so close to 5%. It costs more for the U.S. to borrow money and even more to pay off its debt. It costs the country more than $1 trillion a year just to pay interest. The U.S. Treasury says that stablecoins are the best way to solve this situation. They keep the U.S. dollar as the world's main reserve currency and make new people want to buy U.S. bonds. The best part is now here. Today, 99% of safe coins are already worth U.S. dollars. In other words, crypto isn't going up against the dollar. It makes the dollar even more powerful around the world. Ripple is the link that makes it all possible for the dollar and crypto to move forward together. Ripple has been working with groups all over the world to build just this kind of infrastructure. Let's look at Schumann Financial. Their work with the XRP ledger is mostly about making on-chain banking better for people who use euros. That's more than just a splash. That's the process of making a stable euro coin that is fully controlled, follows the rules, and works with banks without any problems. With the XRP ledger, they can offer instant euro transfers, virtual IBANs for donations, and payment transfers to bank accounts right away. There is no contact. It goes faster. It costs less. All of this is happening on Ripple's tech. When it comes to infrastructure, every bank needs to catch up with this. Banks like JP Morgan, Citibank, and Bank of America have already made progress with digital assets. For institutions that still haven't joined, the fastest way is to work with Ripple or Circle to build the infrastructure for stable coins from scratch. That's why Ripple is getting attention for helping to provide yield on controlled stable coins like RLUSD, which just came out with Soil. The Soil protocol for DeFi lending is fully controlled and works in the EU. It connects real-world assets with stablecoin yield. Ripple is able to offer a 7% return on RLUSD because of their infrastructure. This return is backed by real-world loans that are handled by private debt funds. This isn't just a chance test by DeFi. This is institutional-grade banking that is regulated. It's also another example of Ripple building the rails for the future banking system in the background. Don't think this is just about Europe either. Ripple has always had a world plan. They've met with the Brazilian central bank and are already working with other companies in South America to make stable coins backed by the US dollar that are regulated by Brazil's own financial officials. That isn't an idea. That's taking place. When those stable coins are released on the XRP ledger, they can quickly connect with stable coins in other currencies such as the euro, the yen, the pound, and others. Each new growth makes the network effect stronger. This is where the bigger picture comes in. The company behind XRP has always said that it is meant to be the neutral bridge currency. In the old method of correspondent banking, banks that wanted to send money to other countries had to put money into accounts there ahead of time. There were trillions of dollars stuck in Nostra accounts where they were locked up and not used. XRP will be used as the bridge by Ripple. Money can move right away instead of being pre-funded. You can change US dollars into XRP and XRP into Mexican pesos. The move takes seconds and costs a small fraction of what it used to. This changes everything. Ripple connects all currencies around the world so that stable coins, digital currencies issued by central banks, and fiat currencies can all work together. XRP acts as a neutral transaction layer for all of these currencies, and since the XRP ledger has already been proven, tried, and trusted, it can bring in institutions that would never even think about using Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana for these types of secure transactions. Even people in charge of regulations know how important this is. Even Gary Gensler has said that safe coins could be used as a way to send money across borders. What's the best bridge, though? It's XRP, not Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana. The only digital object that is linked to so many institutions and is used all over the world. Ripple is aware of this. The president of Ripple, Monica Long, said that the company decided to make its own safe coin because of the growing demand in the market. As soon as real-world assets are turned into tokens, demand for safe coins will only rise. That's why Ripple made RLUSD. They're not just building for now, they're also building for the safe coin economy worth $1 trillion that is already starting to take shape. One more important thing, a number of stable coins have already been issued straight on the XRP ledger. This includes the same amount of money in USD, Euro, Yen, Pound, Australian dollar, and Swiss franc. This isn't just a guess, they're real. They have jobs, they're getting bigger. Big companies like Robinhood, which just agreed to buy Bitstamp, are also working with Ripple. Robinhood now has direct access to the XRP ledger technology, thanks to the purchase, which makes its crypto presence even bigger. When you add in Ripple's other partners in Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America, you can see the plan coming together. A truly global network of stablecoins that are all controlled and settle through the XRP ledger without any problems. The story gets even more interesting when Ripple starts to do business in other countries. This shows that this isn't just a US thing. Everyone wants coins that are safe and easy to use for sending money across borders. And now every important part of the world is moving toward rules, acceptance, and use in the real world. As an example, look at Brazil. The Ripple network already has direct links to the Central Bank of Brazil. It is one of the biggest economies in Latin America, and a lot of its money comes from trade with other countries. It has always been hard to get money into and out of Brazil because of the country's rules, high fees, and limited access to foreign cash. This looked like a chance to Ripple. By launching a stable coin backed by the US dollar through the Brazza Group, which is backed by Brazza Bank and allowed by Brazil's financial regulators, Ripple is making it possible for Brazil to connect directly to the global financial system through the XRP ledger. It's not just about speed, it's also about being fair. The central bank of one of South America's biggest economies has given a stable coin a lot of weight that no uncontrolled token from outside of South America could ever have. This means that companies, banks, and even the government can depend on it without having to worry about being open or following the rules. It will be faster, cheaper, and safer for money to come into and go out of Brazil once that door is open. To see how far Ripple reaches around the world, consider Brazil as an example. In terms of regulation, Europe has been one of the fastest moving areas. Ripple has set itself up as a partner to Schumann Financial so that companies can start stable coins that are worth euros directly on the XRP ledger. These aren't test projects, they're fully regulated tools that work with the regular banking system. Users can send, receive, and deposit euros right away thanks to Ripple's system. In Europe, this means that small businesses can move money with the same speed and ease that big banks used to keep to themselves. Now think about what will happen when these stable coins from different parts of the world start to work together. A stable coin backed by the euro that is released on the XRP ledger can easily connect with a stable coin backed by the Brazilian dollar. Both of them can also use XRP to connect to any other currency in the world. In this way, you can make a world payment system that works with all banks. And the XRP system is what holds everything together. This kind of interoperability gets rid of fragmentation, which is one of the biggest problems in traditional banking. At the moment, foreign transfers depend on a network of correspondent banks. Each bank charges fees, slows down the process, and creates points where something could go wrong. Ripple gets rid of that problem by letting stable coins talk to each other in real time. The settlement happens right away, clearly, and for a lot less money, whether it's euros, dollars, pesos, or yuan. And this isn't just a guess. we can already see how it can be used in real life. The EU-based DeFi lending protocol Soil shows how Ripple's infrastructure lets stablecoins move into chances that pay off in a controlled way. Investors can use their safe coins to make money, and businesses can get loans. The whole process is clear, legal, and quick. That's the coming together of standard and decentralized finance, but there are safety nets in place so institutions can feel safe taking part. One more example is the growth of techniques for getting your money back on the XRP system. When you buy something online in the old-fashioned way and then decide to return it, the store has to be able to send your money back to you. That's a clawback, which means taking back a payment when needed. This feature has been put into the XRP ledger for stablecoin issuers. It makes sure that a transaction can be undone if it turns out to be illegal, fraudulent, or punishable by law. This kind of usefulness is what makes banks and regulators feel safe about getting into crypto. It's not about hype. It's about building what they already expect from the banking system. This is exactly why banks, governments, and businesses pick Ripple over alternatives like Tether that are not controlled. No one is sure what's behind Tether, there isn't an open audit, and institutions can't depend on it for serious international settlement. For Ripple, following the rules is easy. Being open is important, and officials are involved from the start. That makes Ripple the perfect partner for businesses that need to be sure they can trust the system before they put billions of dollars into it. Ripple's plan to make XRP the neutral bridge asset is one of the most interesting parts. Think of a world map that has dozens of different currencies on it, such as the US dollar, the euro, the Japanese yen, the Mexican peso, and more. All pairs of currencies can join through XRP, so none of them need their own liquidity pool. That means there is only one universal bridge instead of hundreds of useless currency passageways. It is now easier, cheaper, and faster for money to move than ever before. The consequences are huge. There are trillions of dollars sitting idle in Nostro and Vostro accounts right now. These accounts are like pre-funded bank funds kept in other countries so that payments can settle when they're due. By using XRP for quick settlement, Ripple gets rid of the need for those accounts. When banks free up that cash, they can use it in other ways to make money instead of just leaving it alone. That's a huge increase in efficiency worth many trillions of dollars just ready to be found. It's not just banks either. It has an impact on companies, people, and even states. Imagine that a small business in Mexico could get paid right away from Europe without having to wait days for bank transfers or lose a lot of money on fees. Imagine that a family could send money back to Africa from the US in seconds without having to go through middlemen who take big chunks of the money. That's the power that stablecoins and the XRP system give Ripple. It also makes sense that central banks are paying attention. Some are making central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, while others are looking into ways to work with stablecoins. But the most important thing is the infrastructure, not whether it's a CBDC or a stablecoin. Ripple has set itself up to be the provider of that technology. Its technology can work with both models, so the XRP ledger can join both globally, no matter what kind of currency a country issues, CBDC or stablecoins. It is now known that stablecoins are the best way to keep the dollar's power even in the US, where regulators have traditionally been cautious. Lawmakers are freely saying that stablecoins could make trillions of dollars worth of US treasuries more popular, which would improve America's standing in the world. Bitcoin and Ethereum are two names that get a lot of attention, but neither is meant to be used in this way. Bitcoin doesn't have the right rules in place, Ethereum has problems with cost and scaling, but Ripple was designed from the start to be both compliant and efficient. Think about the fact that almost every big company that is looking into digital assets right now feels safer with Ripple than with unregulated options. Why? Because Ripple knows how banks and government agencies talk. It knows how to act in boardrooms, how to set up relationships, and how to meet compliance standards without giving in. Ripple is different from the rest of the crypto business because it is so professional. Ripple isn't going to stop either. Now that Robinhood has bought Bitstamp, the XRP ledger's infrastructure is even more closely linked to well-known banking platforms. Bitstamp has been one of the most trusted platforms for a long time. Now that it's directly connected to Robinhood, Ripple can reach more people, both individuals and businesses. That means the XRP ledger will have more money, more users, and more respect as the core of stablecoin transactions around the world. Also, don't forget that this isn't just about the US or Europe. Some of the places where stablecoin use is rising the fastest are in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Why? Because standard banking in these areas often costs more, takes longer, and is harder to get to. You can use stablecoins on the XRP ledger instead, which is faster, cheaper, and more accurate. Some places don't have easy access to financial services, but this technology might be able to completely replace old methods. Check out the pattern that's starting to form. There are regulated stablecoins for the euro, the Brazilian real, the dollar, the yen, the pound, and the franc. All of these are released directly on the XRP ledger. Each new member makes the network stronger. With each new stablecoin, XRP's role as a link grows. As more people use it, the XRP system stops being just one choice and starts being the standard way to make payments around the world. Ripple has been working toward this goal for many years. The goal has always been clear: to make a financial system where information and value can move around just as easily. Now that the stablecoin market is about to grow into the trillions of dollars, Ripple is right where it needs to be, at the center of the change. This is where the story picks up again, since the next step isn't just adoption, it's about taking this to $1 trillion level, with Ripple and the XRP ledger taking care of everything from small deals to large institutional finance, money transfers to central bank settlements. There is one timeless concept that guides everyone who wants to get rich: worth. When all the noise, hype, and trends are taken away, the investors who regularly make money are the ones who can find companies that offer real value, build long-lasting advantages, and grow over time. Thanks to this lens, we can spot chances before everyone else does. In addition, it's what sets market leaders apart from those who just engage in them. Think for a moment about how many times history has happened again and again. There was the dot-com boom, the housing bubble, the rise of social media, the wave of renewable energy, and now we're in the age of AI. Every cycle has been good for people who could see past short-term changes and get ready for the big changes that will shape the future. It's a reminder that investing isn't all about getting the time just right, it's about figuring out early on what will happen. The use of AI in almost every part of the economy is one of the most certain things that will happen in the near future. AI has already changed the way we handle customer service, automate supply lines, find new drugs, and make content. However, this is only the beginning. When these tools are used in fields that have been slower to adopt technology, the real wealth explosion happens. It's used in manufacturing, farming, healthcare infrastructure, logistics, and even government processes. When AI meets trillion-dollar businesses that have been inefficient for decades, the result is not small steps forward, but huge changes. For example, farming might not seem like the most interesting area to invest in at first, but think about the size. Every year, the world food economy is worth more than $10 trillion. Now picture precision farming that is run by AI and uses drones and machine learning to keep an eye on the health of the land, guess crop yields, and get rid of waste. Someone or some company that can make this field even a little more efficient could get billions of dollars. That's how businesses that seem dull can become great places to invest. The same reasoning works for healthcare. AI is being used right now to read medical scans faster and more correctly than doctors can. What do these systems do when they switch from finding problems to stopping them? The company that can use AI to accurately guess diseases before they happen by looking at DNA, lifestyle, and environmental data could completely change the way healthcare is paid for. That's not only a huge business chance, it's also a whole new way of doing healthcare. Now let's talk about the idea of compounding an investment. For some reason, compounding seems too easy to be very powerful. Your wealth grows at a speed that seems almost magical when you get in early on companies that are not only growing, but also growing even faster through investments and new ideas. A $10,000 investment in Amazon in 2001 is now worth more than $1.8 million. This isn't because of hype or progress, but because the company kept putting money into things that would help it grow. Things are still going the same way. 20 years from now, the owners who found today's reinvestors, the companies that put their profits back into new products instead of cashing out, will be the ones telling stories about how rich they were. These people are often found in areas like clean energy infrastructure, fintech, AI software platforms, and semiconductors right now. For instance, semiconductors aren't just chips any longer. They're about making the whole digital future possible. Not having advanced chips would mean no AI revolution, no self-driving cars, no high-frequency trading, and no modern military systems. That means that businesses that make cutting-edge semiconductors are essential to progress. Investors who know how this works don't think of chips as seasonal. They see them as building blocks for decades of new ideas. Fintech is another area that keeps opening up huge possibilities. Millions of people around the world still don't have bank accounts or don't have enough money in their accounts. AI is now making it possible for new ways to offer loans, make payments easier, and offer financial services in places that weren't possible before. Companies that solve these issues do more than just make money for their shareholders. The world's financial order is being changed, and a lot of money is made when you rebuild systems on that level. But this is where discipline is needed when spending. There are dozens of companies with flashy stories that fail in the end for everyone that has the potential to change its business. This is why it's so important to understand the basics, be able to put plans into action, and have a clear goal as a leader. It's not enough to have a strong story. Your business plan needs to be able to grow, protect its margins, and bring in money over time. Patience is another important factor. It's tempting to trade all the time looking for the next big thing or responding to news stories, but this isn't usually how real wealth is made. Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, Cathie Wood, and Ray Dalio, 4 of the world's most famous investors, all say that confidence and patience are more important than short-term timing. Hold on to your theory even when things go up and down. This gives compounding the time it needs to do its magic.